Hello guys and welcome back. So let's continue the work in the blueprint finally. We have two animations now, and actually I prepared a combination of the left one, but I'm not gonna spend time on that right now until I figured out how to really make a good looking animation. So the alternative version of 79 is going to wait a little bit. So instead I'm going to continue the work on the blueprint. So we have an animation emerge from cover left, which we made in, let's see, which 79, yeah. So these two animations we made in these tutorials we're gonna use. Okay, so let's take and retarget them to our skeleton, and oops, there we have them, and give them some better names. Emerge left and emerge right. Okay, so the thing about these two animations, and I want to just mention that if in case you're wondering, if you take a look at the hand here, you'll notice that the gun is not matching up with the left hand is not matching up, and the reason is because of the animation and the way that I mounted that slot here to put the gun in. So right now I'm not gonna worry about it, because it's kind of there are lots of ways to fix this, but it's not really important for me right now. So I'm gonna fix it maybe later, but just so you know, I am aware, and since I'm gonna end up in an idle rifle iron sight pose, this is gonna fix itself eventually when we end in the right pose. Of course the transition is not good, so yeah, eventually I will look into this, okay? Anyway, what we need to do in here is to make sure that we enable root motion for this one, and we also want to do it for the right one, like that. And we are going to use a montage to trigger these two, so select them both and create a montage for both of them. Oops, like that. And let's see, the blueprint, let's first save everything. We should go ahead and take a look at the animation blueprint first, I think, because there's something we need to talk about in here. You may also notice that I have a few extra notes coming in here. I'm just going to show them because I didn't want to spend too much time on them. So this one is saying if we are in standing cover and we don't have a rifle equipped anymore, then we should be able to transition back to cover idle. This one, cover left, the unarmed cover state, and from this state we should also be able to go into the cover state with a rifle. So I just added these two, and similar for the right poses, so just didn't want to spend too much time dragging arrows back and forth on video. So just to mention that in case you're wondering why I have those suddenly. Anyway, we want to take a look at this one, cover idle. We made that in I think it was 76, I believe. Maybe not. Anyway, these two we've created earlier. Okay, so what we want to do is to say at some point when we come to a corner, we want to transition into a merging state, and then once we are fully emerged, then we want to stay in that state for as long as the player is holding down a certain key or something. So that's something we're going to add in here, and something in here eventually. And since all this these states are being controlled by the movement, most of it is being controlled by the movement state, we should go ahead and take a look at the movement state enumeration here. So as I mentioned, we want to have a new state called is emerging, and a state to tell, okay, now we are emerged. So these two we want to add. So save that. And the place we want to trigger this is going to be inside the event check. We have our check movement state, and this is actually maybe easier to explain if we go to the viewport. We have these two arrows. I can't really remember if I created these when I created these, but this is basically just two arrows pointing forward. So this one is called right forward point, and this is called left forward point. And I realized that this is actually the left arm and this is the right arm, so I switched them. But since we are in a cover mode, he's having the back to the wall. So if you kind of turn him around, then this will be the left. So it's kind of, yeah. Anyway, but these 2 points here we want to use as our kind of a reference point to know when we need to do something. And let's see. I just select, okay, I have it selected, just want to be able to see it. Where is it? Visible, oh yeah, it is. I've been scrolling past it a few times. So I have these unselected hidden in game, so when I press play, we can see here's now 2 arrows on the side here, and those are the arrows that we are going to use for this. Okay, so the idea is that we come into cover, and once we come to a corner like this, once that arrow is not hitting anything anymore, then we want to be able to transition into the emerging state in the respective direction. Okay, so let's go ahead and create the first part of this, and can't really make everything in this one, so I'm gonna have to break this up a little bit. So we have our check movement state, the one that we've been visiting quite a few times coming off the event tick here. So it's something we want to do on every tick, check this. So if we scroll over here a little bit here, we're saying are we in hanging braced, and that we are not. And we have this code that we prepared a few episodes back. So what we want to do here is to make a check first, and we can just copy one of these, but we are going to use we're going to use this function are facing a wall. This one. And let's just take the left forward first. Doesn't really matter which one you take, but just pick one of them. And we want to trace, let's say, I think this is the standard value I used all over the place for some reason. Might want to go and revisit this and figure out if this is still a good idea. Anyway, so what we want to do here is say if we are not facing a wall anymore from this point here, then we want to start playing the montage. and we have our access to our animation blueprint by going into this get my anim instance. This function we made earlier on. It's basically just a wrapper to get this stuff here. And when we drag off from this, we can type montage play. And the montage we want to play is going to be emerging. Since this one is the left forward, we want to say emerge left. And what we want to do here is to say, okay, we know that this is going to be fired every tick. So if I keep, once I get out of this point here, it's going to keep firing and over. So we don't want this to keep firing. So what I'm going to do here to avoid that, that is why actually I created this emerging. I'm going to call my update movement state, this guy here, and set it to is emerging. So that tells us and keep true here, because that's also going to tell the animation blueprint, if we remember this one here, that it's going to set the movement state according to that value here, and also set it on the animation blueprint if this is true. This should be something you remember from, maybe vaguely though, from one of the previous tutorials. One thing also to note here is that now we have a switch on the moving state in here, and strictly speaking we need to also make sure to connect these up to something. And since this is just a walking normal, consider it a normal walking state, and I'm just going to drag it down to this part here. So let's close that one up and see. So we are going to get in an is emerging state. So eventually we want to go into the emerged state, and let's see. Let's see if we can do this really quick. Okay. So inside the animation blueprint, we are going to drag out a new state here and call this peaking left rifle. So this is going to be a transition we're going to go into when the movement state changes to is emerged. Yes, and the way we're going to get into this state is emerged. And, and we want to put inside an animation here, and the animation we're going to use here is just going to be the idle rifle iron sight something. This one. This is the one from the free animation pack. This old standard one. Okay. So the way we're going to get into this state here is going to be to say once we hit a certain stage in the montage we are playing, then we're going to change the state. So it's going to be an animation notifier saying this, and we want to make a little blend in between this animation and the idle. So I'm not going to go all the way to the end, although that would seem logical, but I'm just going to make something fairly early in the cycle here and say we are adding new is emerged, for example. So that event is going to fire at this point. Let's make it for the other one as well, so we have them. Oh, and one thing else we need to fix. Right now it's just playing this montage on the default slot. So I have I was just lazy and created a full body slot, which I just use all the time. So I'm just going to make sure to set them both to full body slot. And okay. So similar for the other one. I don't know. I'm gonna tweak these in a later video. Right now, I'm just interested in getting this this set up so we can start tweaking it. So let's see. We need to do something about the ones that notify fires. So on the animation graph or the animation blueprint on the event graph, we are going to type in is this one, event anim notify is emerged. So this one is going to fire whenever that notifier reaches that stage in the montage. So we are gonna say update movement state, and we are gonna set it to is emerged. So I think that is what we can do right now with the time we have, because we are up on 16 minutes. So let's see, when we come to the corner, is now emerging, and now we can't move, or we can only move from side to side. But this is a good start, so let's try that out again. So you can see right there, and actually something odd happened with the camera. I'm afraid that's something we need to look into also later on. So I'm just gonna say to set it to slow motion. So look at the red arrow. Once it reaches out here, plop, it's gonna start moving out. And there we go. Something with the camera. I think it's the head is getting too close to the wall or something. Anyway, it's something I need to take a look at later on. I remember when I did this the first time, I had some problems with it also. So yeah, it's very subtle, but it's still there. So anyway, let's continue in the next video. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next. Bye bye.